Hello everyone. This is our tutorial for project 1 background. And for this project, you're creating a background that could be used for concept art, which could be for maybe it's a movie, maybe it's a game, or maybe it's for animation or cartoons. So think of it in those terms. Your background can include people. It can include uh, structures, ruins, buildings, animals, but it's those things should not be the focus. Those things should be secondary and should be much smaller. And the other thing about our background that you want to do is you want to actually make it so that, excuse me here. I had my cat bothering me, and I'm having to clear my throat here. So anyway, what I was going to say is one of the things we want our background to do and to be is we want to do a background of a vista, and a vista is something where you can see way off into the distance. Okay, so that's kind of what a vista is all about. And so we don't want this up close kind of background. We want something that we can see some depth to. Okay, so we've got foreground objects, we got middle ground objects, and we got background objects. Okay, and so like in this piece right here, which I'd done as a demonstration a couple of years back, this has foreground objects, which you can see in the front, these big structures where this eagle's starting to fly off of. This waterfall's in the foreground. And then we've got middle ground, which is this hill and rocky cliffs here. And then we got our background, okay? And even our sky falls into that. So there's some depth there. We're looking through multiple things. So anyway, this one actually started off. I'll show you if I have. Oh, here it is. This was actually the demonstration I'd done for this piece, and as you can see, I changed it quite a bit there. I elongated it. This was actually the original drawing for it, so you can see it's very rough. Anyway, so you're gonna have to create sketches for your background, and this will need to be something that looks good compositionally. That's the first part. Then and the things that you're going to submit to me are four color studies, four color compositions. And let me close this one right here. So this was one I created for my class, and on top of this one is our drawing. Okay, so that's my rough drawing. It's faded back. Let me bring it all the way up here. So I started off with that, and then actually I used that. I'll fade it back again, and I built these different areas here, which I silhouetted out. So you've got your foreground, your middle ground, and your background, and this is it much larger. And when I did my color study, I used just one brush, a round brush, and I was picking colors off of photographs. I was picking colors off of backgrounds. So anyway, that one is is for that. Now this one, let me get back here over here. This was another one I done, and it's kind of it has some of those flatter shapes that the color study has, but it also has some painting into it with some textures that use some texture brushes. So this is more of an animated look. Let me close that one. This is a sketch I was working on. Let me see what else I've got up under here. Oh, maybe it's this right here. Okay. So this was one I was playing around with today. So this was the sketch, and then this is the color study. Okay. And somewhere on here, I'm hoping that, let me see here. We got background, demo sketch. Yeah, I don't think I have that one open. Let me open that one up real quickly here so you can see what the finished looks like. So this one's more for an animated background. And I used some of the Kyle brushes. And actually, I painted this all on one layer, which is something some of the concept artists for animation do. Um, it's I'm not requiring that. And this was actually one of the first times I'd done it in a long time, where I just painted everything on one layer. Makes it a little harder to edit, but it is a different way to work. And if you want to try that for your color studies, please do. But for your finish, I would suggest that you do things on multiple layers because it's going to be much easier for you to get in there and edit. So let me close that one up. This is actually the piece I'm going to demonstrate with. But before I get into that, I'm going to actually do some sketching for you in case you're sketching in Photoshop, or let me see here, let me bring it over, or you're sketching on your tablet, because usually I will sketch, I'll do a rough thumbnail in my sketchbook. And let me show you some of my rough thumbnails, because I may make, a lot of times when I'm sketching here, I make things look easy, but I want you to understand that I've been doing a lot of thumbnails, okay? And so these are thumbnails that I created today. And just so you see real quickly here that I've done a bunch of these here. I've also done a bunch on the computer too. So this was earlier. Let me see here. So some of these are much rougher. And what I do is if I am drawing in Photoshop, I will make a new layer and just start sketching. And then I'll turn off that layer and do another sketch, which makes it much easier to do, okay? So, if I'm going to do a sketch here, I would just make a new layer, turn everything off. And like I said, if you feel more comfortable drawing with pencil and paper or pen and paper, please do. And then you can always use Cam Scanner and scan that in. But anyway, when I sketch in Photoshop, I usually bring my opacity down to about 40%, and I use a hard round brush here, okay? Now, what I would suggest doing is before you even do this, I would start looking at background art, okay? I would start looking at different artists. There's some links I have on my website there. But let's say I'm going to start drawing something out here, and who knows, maybe this might become the piece. I don't know. So I'm actually drawing a tree, and I think, you don't have to have a tree in your piece. You could have, it could be just all rocks, it could be like a scene of using with cliffs, and it could be near the ocean. It could be a desert scene with cacti. So anyway, whenever I draw a tree here, I usually just start with the trunk and some branches. And one thing I always tell my students is that trees, branches branch off. They get smaller as they go out. And so I usually don't do a lot of branches, because what I'll do is I'll do a few. We'll do another couple here. I'm doing more than I usually do. And then I'll just start kind of sketching in the leaves. Okay, so I'll sketch in the leaves kind of like this, just real loose. Sometimes I'll just be more specific like this, and just do it real quick like that. And maybe there's some leaves underneath there, okay? And then I'll draw like that. I'm going to do Command T and bring that down, just make it a little bit smaller here. Maybe I might even scrunch. I'll hold down my Shift key and scrunch it just a little bit and pull it out here. Okay. Maybe we'll distort it. I'll hold down my Command key, just try to do a little distortion to it. That's one of the cool things about working on the computer or working in an app. I work in Procreate too. And if you're using that, that's a great program, because you can always export it as a Photoshop file and have all your layers and continue working in Photoshop. So anyway, sometimes when I sketch, I don't start with a box all the time. Sometimes I'll start a drawing, and then I'll crop in something like this. And I'm just holding on my Shift key as I'm doing this. By the way, this is about my 4th attempt at this tutorial. Photoshop has been crashing on me. Part of the problem is I updated the operating system, and now I'm hoping that it doesn't crash this time, because I updated Photoshop. So I'm going to draw some grass in here. I had a rock here, like that. Maybe the hillside goes off, and then maybe we might see some, the tops of trees here. Okay. Let's just see what this becomes here for a second. Like I said, I might end up using this if it works out well. But when you're sketching, doing your sketches, you can sketch in line, and you don't have to do a lot of shading. A lot of times I'll shade just to kind of get a sense of where my light source is. So like if I want my light source coming from this angle, you know, it's like these leaves up underneath are going to be darker, but then there's going to be light on these leaves up here. So a lot of this is going to be a shadow. Now, one thing I could do too, if I want to, sometimes I'll do this. If I'm doing a sketch, I'm just playing around here because we could do a sketch that is mainly line, or we can do a sketch where it actually has some shading to it. Um, so it has a little bit more form there. But anyway, uh, that's a quick way to do a sketch here. Now, one of the things about your sketch, even if you do it by hand, you should scan it in and you should take a look at it in Photoshop. And one of the ways I always do is I always flip it, to see what it looks like, to see it. And this tree's kind of curving this way, which is a little unusual. We could kind of fix that. I have a keyboard shortcut set up in Photoshop, which is F5, and I'm actually setting it to this. So this is up under View, okay, and it says Flip Horizontal. Now that was not there in a couple versions of Photoshop earlier, like about 2 years ago. Photoshop didn't have that. I think it's just new. They include that last year, and there's a difference. Okay, so like when we flip it this way, okay, and we do something, and then we undo it, and we undo. See, it just continues to undo. It doesn't undo the flipping. Okay. Um, Now, if I do it this way, if I flip it up under Image, flip Canvas Horizontal, okay, and then I do something, and then I undo, and then undo again, it will actually flip it back, okay? And so that's kind of why I like to use this flip horizontal versus that one. There is two different ones there, okay? And what I do is I will set my keyboard shortcut. On a Mac, you go to Edit and Keyboard Shortcut, and you want to look for View. We'll go up under View here, and it's way down here. There it goes, flip horizontal. As you can see, I set it to F5. You can just, select. I would select an F key if you got an F key available to use, because therefore you don't have to hold down another key, like you don't have to hold down Control or Command with the key. So that's why I have F5 set up for mine. Okay. So anyway, that's one way to edit and look at your picture and make changes. I'm gonna make my brush a little smaller here because we might want to actually, I'm curious here. I'm just going to play right here. See, one of the great things is even if this was a sketch done by hand, you can always go in and select things and move them around. And what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to see about taking this, and we'll edit, and we'll go transform. We'll flip horizontal this way just to see, and then we'll move it this way. Whoops. There we go. And maybe we'll distort it, Command T, and I'm just playing around here because this is the cool thing about once you get into Photoshop, or if you're in Procreate or some other program where you can edit, you can always take things and flip them if you know how to do that in those programs. Command D, all right, and therefore fill the rest out there, and I kind of like the tree like that better. Now let's flip it back and see what it looks like. All right. And yeah, that does look better like that, okay? I like that much better. Now, the other thing you can do with your sketch, and if you're using the entire page, or let's say you scanned in your sketch, you cropped it, and that's what I'm going to do here. I'm going to crop this, and let's get the crop tool out, and we'll crop it down. Okay. Now what I want to do is, and we could save it as a different file name. I'm crossing my fingers. We won't be crashing. I've been having a lot of technical difficulties here with doing these things, and it looks like saving's taking a second here. And I hope I don't have to end up screaming at my computer again, because you would hope these things would run a little faster. There shouldn't be this lag time. And like I said, I've just been, oh, there it goes. There it goes. Okay, well, won't have to restart. Won't have to restart the video. I was thinking of splicing the video together, but I thought, the first video I was doing was about 20. Let's do this as demo sketch. Was about 26 minutes in, and it crashed. And I thought, you know what? I think I could shorten this video, so that's why I'm re-recording it. Okay. Anyway, what I want to talk about is, let's see here. So we flipped it. Oh, let me get out the crop tool. Let's flip it back here. Yes, I don't need to know that. Okay, so what I want to talk about is, let's say you've got it cropped and you want to check your composition. There's the rule of thirds. You don't want anything split in the middle. I can already see that this is being split in the middle here, but let's bring this up here. And that is up under View, you can go to New Guide Layout. And I'm going to do, let's see here, I'm going to do 3 columns and 3 rows. And we're not going to have a gutter, so we're going to get rid of that 0 there and 0 there. Now, you might not be able to see it because the color of the guide. So let's go over here to Photoshop Preferences. And we'll go down to Guides, Grid, and Slices. And we'll change that canvas to medium blue, so we can see that a little bit better. There we go. And you can see where things are at. And see, this tree right here is in a nice location. We can flip it and still see it that way. It's a good location because the branch, the trunk here is within that first third there. It's right along that line. That's really good here. If I want to make any changes, we could do some cropping here. And I brought my text tool. I think I brought my text tool up. Let's see what's going on here. I think I might just need to restart my computer. Oh, there it goes. Yeah. Sorry about that. Anyway, I hit the wrong key there. I hate that. So what I meant to do was get the crop tool there, and let's come over here. And we're going to crop in just a little bit more and maybe raise this just a little bit up a little bit. And we'll hit return. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to clear my guides. And then I'm going to go and do new guide layout again, and it fortunately will save that, and we can see where things are located. And so this is a little bit better, okay? We can always select things too. That's the other thing here. Let me go in here, and let's say we select some of these shapes here. We'll actually go around this rock. Let me get this a little bit better here. Go around this rock like this. We'll go around this tree, a group of trees. We'll get that. We'll get this. And we'll do Control T so we can actually kind of distort. Oops, I'll hold down my Shift key when I do that. Okay, so now that is actually even better. And I'm going to bring that up just a little bit more and then scrunch it a little bit more there. Because now we don't want our horizon or the tops of those mountains being smack in the middle there. Okay, so let's hit return. Control D there. Come on. Everything's running a little slow there. Okay, now let's hide our guides and take a look and see that could work a little bit better for this composition. Now I'm going to go in and erase out. And do a little bit more drawing on this. There we go. And maybe I might raise my opacity up to 50 there. There we go. Okay. Oops. And then I I would kind of raise my tree up more. Okay. And let me erase that line out. I'm not crazy about that. And just kind of continue the top of this hillside. And so we've got like, you know, cliff there. We'll clean up that tree a little bit more. And there we go. You know, now all we need is like something like this perhaps back there. And so, and we'll erase out this line so because that's distracting. Come on that right layer there. There we go. All right, so let's say that this would be our composition. Actually, I've got one already cooked up here, so we can just save that for the moment. And let's put that down here. And I'm really hoping that this does not crash this time. All I need is some technical difficulties. I kind of like this one. I'd already done my checking with composition. It's not bad. I actually played around with it a little bit, just distort the tree a little bit more. I like my mountains, so I'm going to use this one. And we can always alter the composition more too as we're working on it, because you know, this is still just in the sketch stage. So let's say you've got a sketch and we're doing a color stage, because you've got to do 4 color comps here. These color comps do not have to be that complicated. Okay, so what I want to do is, and I'm hoping that this will not crash my system, I'm going to open up these images here to pick colors off of. There they go. All right, finally. Okay, now they're up here. Okay, now what I would do is, this was cropped, as you can see. I'm going to get rid of all the layers I don't need. All these other drawings I've done. I'm going to make a new layer. I'll keep the background layer for a moment because we might use that for sky. But what we're going to be doing is lassoing. It's faster, especially if you have a Cintiq, or if you have a Wacom tablet, or if you're working in Procreate. It's just a little, you gotta get used to Procreate. Procreate took me, I'm still learning Procreate, but it is really cool because, you know, it's got a lot of nice features there. So let's say we're going to pick a color for this tree here. We'll pick up this color here, okay? And let's go back here. There we go. And we'll do Alt-Delete, okay? So that's going to be a color. Now, we can always go back in and lasso more, okay? Oops. We hold down our Shift key to add to the selection there. There we go. And let's hit Alt-Delete again and see what that looks like. Okay, that's a little bit better. Alt-Delete again. Okay. I'm thinking of actually kind of shearing this off a little bit. Maybe more like that. And you can always go in with your brush, but if you do your brush, make sure you set it up to 100% flow and opacity. You know? It's just that lassoing so much faster when you've got a drawing you're working with, okay? So anyway, let's go on and continue here. And what I'm going to do is let's make another layer. I'm going to lasso this part. So I'm going to lasso the top of the tree here. The leaves. Now we can paint them later on. We can use leaf brushes. But this is just for our color study. And I'm going to use probably most of this image. It seems to be something that's working here. That's really dark. try that one. Okay, that's a little bit better there. And let me zoom out just a little bit here and open this up and get my lasso tool and just hold down my shift key and make sure that I get the rest of that. There we go. And then, oh, delete again. There we go. Control D. Okay, now. So this is what I've got so far. So now, and the thing is, the ground I'm thinking about is this, is that the ground and the sky are separated. So we could probably do this grassy part right here. I'm just going to do a little rough like grass. This is our color study. But this part could be on the same layer as the leaves, okay? Because they're separated. And so let's go pick a color out for that. I really do seem to like that photograph there for that painting, that digital painting. Okay, so that's a cool color. And so let's turn our picture off for a second. You see that? That looks nice, okay? And now we're going to do, let's see, we'll go in and make a new layer for this rock. Okay. And if we wanted to make it look like there's grass coming up over that, then what we could do is just come in here with our lasso and take away. I'm holding down the Alt key to do that, okay? And let's see if I can find a. Now I don't think this has any rocks in it at all. Let's see what we got here. That's a cool image. Now this is from Steven Universe. I like that image. Let's see here. Well, that's got some cool things. I don't know if we got anything that has any kind of. Maybe this, or even something back in here. Yeah, I like that. Let's see what this looks like. Okay, so let's go and do Alt Delete. Oh, that's not bad. Let me go a little darker there. There we go. You can also pick a color for your color study and come in here. Yeah, there we go. I like that better. Okay. Now we're going to start doing the background here. And, well, actually, we'll do some more things here because what we're going to do is I'm going to do, let's make a new layer here. We'll put up underneath this. And you can start labeling your layers if it helps. We can call this one trunk. Okay. We call this one leaves and grass. Okay. And this is going to be for the stone. We might be able to actually add some more things on that stone layer. But anyway, most of this stuff is going to be behind the trunk and behind this grass. So, let's say that this was the top of trees that are lower on the hillside. Okay, and let's see here. Let's see if there's something kind of cool here. Let's see what this color looks like. I like that color. Okay, because we want to keep. That's the thing about doing landscapes, especially if it's in summertime. You got leaves and trees, and it's all green. Sometimes if you can't use the same green, you got to start mixing up your greens. They've got to be different kinds of greens when you're making the leaves and the grass and the stuff in the background. Okay, now let's go and do. I'm going to do this first hillside here in the background. And I think I'm going to do these two on the same layer. That's going to be on the same layer here, okay? There we go. Now, make sure that there's nothing. Yep, we're not going to be hiding anything. All right, now let's see what we can do here color-wise. Let's try this image. Got a lighter green here. We'll just see what that looks like. Yeah, it looks nice. And I kind of, the thing is that we're actually going to add this down a little bit more. So I'm gonna go and I just deselected, but that's okay. We're just going to add a little bit more color there to that. Now let's take our, well, so that doesn't look bad. I like that. Now, what we can do is we can lock the pixels. Remember, we're using the checkerboard here to lock with. And we can pick up some color off this image. I kind of like these, it's kind of brownish rock here. All right, so we'll go in here, pick up that, and see what that looks like. And I'm just using my round brush with pressure for this. And it's set to 100%. So therefore I can just quickly color that. I'm wondering, maybe I should make this side a little darker. Well, we got to figure out our light source. We haven't figured out our light source yet. I mean, I figured out a little bit. The other sketch I was working on. Well, I've just been putting in these flats, and so that's kind of cool when you're working with just the flats. You still got time to figure out where do you want your light to be, okay? And we can put trees back there later on for painting. We can use some brushes for that. So let's pull up this here, and we'll make a new layer. We'll do lasso. Now, if you're lassoing with your mouse, you know, you might find it a little harder to do. I actually switched to my mouse for a second here just to see how well could I lasso this thing if you're using a trackpad. Anytime you feel like you're losing control, swing back around, because I felt like I was going to lose control there. Hold down your shift key and kind of add to it, okay, like that. There we go. All right, and you know, if we want to be picky here. Oh, all right. So let's pick another lighter color here, and we, you know, maybe hopefully we'll see what this looks like. Yeah, good. All right, that's good. Now let's we can keep it selected, or we can lock those pixels. We will end up locking those pixels eventually. But anyway, let's pick up this color here. Okay, Control D. Now we just let me see what we got here. We zoom out on this image. This image. Ah, there we go. Kind of like that. Here's the Steven Universe image. But I'm looking at this kind of background mountain here. And that's what this is going to be right here. And actually, you know what? I might change it a little bit. I'm thinking maybe this background mountain might go more like this. And then let's make a new layer here. And let's pick that color up. Okay. And I was going to look at another picture here. Yeah. So let's see. This is actually a photograph. It's kind of cool to look at because, yeah, you know, as you can see in the distance, you know, it becomes much more cooler. It's kind of more of a gray, but it's got a cool bluish color to that. So that's why, you know, you see artists do that. Okay, let's put that in. Whoa, that's way too dark. It's because I probably sampled that. Let's try that right there. There we go. Much better. Much better. All right, so this background layer here, what I'm going to do is just do Command A, and we'll pick out a flat color. Okay, so let's pick out a flat color, and maybe it's this teal here. We'll see what this looks like. We can always change it, okay? And see, that kind of works because that works into our water too. But let's see here. We got this image here. Let me try this color. We just want a different color than the stone. Yeah, I like that color much better. Ooh, that's nice. Okay, and we can actually, on this layer, by the way, we can get our paintbrush, and we do Command D here. We get our paintbrush here, and we can paint in a slightly different color, maybe for the water. So, I mean, and see, that's just, it's not much different. It's about the same value, but it's a different hue. Okay, so now, you know, that's not bad. So, but we're still not finished with our color study yet, because what we want to do with our color study, let's turn off our drawing to take a look at it, okay, which doesn't look bad, is we want to figure out our light source. So I'm thinking, you know, it's like maybe, let's see here, what would be best here? Maybe our light's coming down like in the other picture there. And if it is coming down at this angle, okay, so let's draw this, you know, if it's coming down We'll do D. So we get that. Let's say it's coming down at this angle, or maybe this angle. Then, a lot of this tree is going to get silhouetted, but some of the leaves are going to pick up light. Right in here, it's going to be lighter. Okay, some of these may be a little bit lighter on the side. This, it'll be lighter on this side of the rock. So those are the things you got to think about, and it makes it so much easier if everything is on a different layer. So we'll go up here and lock the pixels for the leaves and grass, and we're just going to use a round brush. That's all we're going to do. And let's see what picture we were using there. We were using that picture. So let's see about using this color green here. And let's go back to our picture here. We'll turn that off for a moment. And we'll just, it's too bright. Well, the other thing too is you can always lower your opacity. So a lot of times when I'm working here, now the problem is this. If we do it again, it's going to keep getting lighter, which is not bad. But we might not want that. So what I'll do is I can actually sample that color and then hit 0, so that turns my opacity up to 100% there. And now we can kind of just get like, maybe some, maybe it's like this. I'm just playing around here. Now I'm using my imagination, but also, I'm thinking about how trees are. Okay, so now let's go in, and we were looking at this tree. This has a much lighter tone here. That might be too light for our trunk. But what I'm going to do is I am actually going to lock the pixels, and we'll lower the opacity down to maybe 40 and see what it looks like. And I kind of like that color there, so we'll do 100%. We sampled it. We go back to 100% flow. Now we can go in and use this. And see, for a tree, we don't really have to do a lot here. For a trunk, that is. Maybe part of this gets it. I don't know. If it doesn't look right, we can take it out, okay? So let's say that that's going to be for a tree right there. And mind you, this trunk here, if we're going to correct it, we got to unlock those pixels. Because I was looking at this, and this was disturbing me here. And we might put another branch there. We might even go back up here. So I'm just going around showing you that we can continue editing. Okay, and I'm going to lock that again. And what I'm thinking about doing is, for this tree here, since everything kind of starts to blend in here, make my brush a little larger here. I'm using my right bracket to do that, as I'm making it larger. I'm going to sample this color green. Yeah, but we're going to lower the opacity. Yeah, there we go. All right, so let's use that color green. We'll go back up to 0. So there's a little bit more depth in that tree now. We can always pick up that darker color again. And, maybe it's like this. All right. So anyway, let's continue on here, and we'll just pick up another color. Maybe try that color for. We'll go down here, lock the pixels. Now this is the background trees, back trees. We'll call it real quick. All right. And then lower our brush size. I'm using the left bracket. Oh, that's too bright. Too bright. But you know what? Like I said, we could try this. If there we go. See, I just lower the opacity of that brush. And if I like that color, then we'll just sample that and then just do 0. So this is a quick way to kind of change that color. And if we paint something we don't want, we just sample the darker color, okay? But we'll use that color over here. We always got to think about the structure and the form, and it's good to look at pictures when you're working, but if you've done it as long as I have, it makes it much easier here. All right, to just sort of, just paint it fast. There we go. Okay, now, corrected that. I want to go back up here to this grass, and I'm going to actually paint it lighter too. And let's see what color we can use here. Let's see what this color looks like. It's a little bit lighter. Well, what I could do is, maybe I might lay in some of this. And I'm just being loose with it. So it actually kind of, I'm just sketching, so because this is a color comp. All right. Now, what we could do is pick a darker color here, maybe for this, but that's too dark. So again, let's lower the opacity to 30. Now I haven't resampled this yet because I'm just kind of painting quickly here. So let's say that this was casting a shadow, wouldn't cast it all the way down the hill. Now I'm beginning to paint back in over itself, so it's getting darker. So let's sample it now and go back up to 100, which is 0. Okay, now that's better. Okay, now let's go up to the stone. We'll lock it. We'll pick a lighter color for it. Let me pick that sky there. See what that looks like. Oh, it's too bright, but it just lower that down to 40%. There we go. And sample it. Okay, and then do 100%. So all I'm doing is, I paint with that color. I lower the opacity. If it's too bright, what I picked off there. I keep trying to sample that, and I wasn't getting it. There we go. Okay. Whoa! Now what we might want to do is go back down to the grass layer, sample that darker grass, so that this will cast a shadow. Like this. And since it's grass, it's going to be irregular. The shadow is not going to be, just this nice roundish shadow. Okay, so now let's go back into the background here, and let's go to this image here, which I really liked, and we'll start picking off color here. I'm wondering, did I paint that on there? Yeah, I did. All right, we can just color that out. All right. Now, let's go back here. And we'll do middle ground. There we go. All right, now, let me sample. This is the farthest I have gotten with one of these demos without my computer crashing. Okay, so again, I sampled a color. It's too dark. We'll just lower it down to 30. Yeah, I like that right there. Actually, I'll do maybe 40, see what that looks like. Okay, that's even better. We'll sample it. We'll go hit the 0 key, and now we can kind of... Now, mind you, this is going to be the darker side here, so this could... I'm thinking, I don't know, maybe this could all be dark. We'll see what that looks like that. Because that, if our light's coming out at that angle, there might be very little that's picking up there, except for maybe around the edge there, Okay, but on this side here is where you're going to get what I was trying to do earlier, which is this. So I'm kind of zoomed out here, so it makes it a little easier. And of course, when we refine this thing, we're going to go in and zoom in here. So there's that hillside. Now let's go and get this color, and that's not bad. But we're going to lower it down to 50. Okay, that's better. Okay, and then let's do that, and then sample it and do 100%. There we go. Now that's about to blend in there to that background hill, but that background hill will probably get a little bit lighter. I'm just playing around here, see what looks good. Don't know what looks good until you paint it. I'm trying to look at that one right there. This one, to see what they're doing. Of course, they, you know, at this point, you can also, and this is what I've been doing before. I kind of like giving some definition like that. But if we want to make it a little softer, let's go pick up this color again. I'm gonna do lighten and see what it does there. Okay. Now we're gonna lower the opacity down to 20. Okay, I just gotta remember I'm on lighten. And we can take off lighten here for a moment, go back up to normal. Another thing you can do too, if you're needing shadows, okay, let's say I want to, and so I'm on this hillside here. And by the way, I'm going to go back here for just a second. My computer won't crash on me. Come on. Is since these are all flat, if I want to ensure that I don't paint down into this orange area, okay, for the cliffs, since it's a flat color, we can just sample it with the. I mean, we could just select it with the magic wand there, and then paint into it, like I was doing before. We'll go and get this lighter color here. And mind you, I've got a lower opacity, so we get this sort of sense that it's gradated, but we're not having to really worry that it's super gradated. Now, what I was going to say to you is this. Let's say I want to darken this area up. I'm going to sample that color. We're going to go to multiply. Now, we're at 20% here. Okay? And so maybe I like that color. We can go back up to 100% now. Whoa! Oh, take it off multiply. Take it off multiply. Go back to normal. Okay. So what I did was I just sort of sampled that color. Now let's go back down to maybe 20% here with this color. There we go. See, that's another way to pick a darker color there. All right. So we're almost done with this color study. All I've got to do next is put maybe some shadows in here for the river, and then do some maybe light shading on this. So let me get this. Command D. We'll go down here to this. This is the mountain. We'll call it the mountain. Okay, there we go. Now again, I could pick that. I'll go to screen. Whoops. Let's lock the pixels. All right, do 40. I'm going to do 40% screen, and see that I got a lighter version of that color. Sample it, but you got to go back up to normal. Okay. Now, all I want to do is hint at some shading here for this hillside, or some lighting, that is. And so we can just do that. And that looks pretty good there, okay? I can live with that. Now, let's go back down to here. We're going to do a couple of things here. One is we're going to do some darkening of this water. I like this color right here. There we go. Whoops. We're at 20% or 40%. So let's sample that and go to 100. So hit the 0 key. Now I'm painting with that at 100% there. And see, I can just add a shadow there. And we can play around with how that shadow would be shaped. Okay, there we go. I like that. And this is actually turning out very nice. I like this one. Okay, now, for our sky, I'm thinking of painting some clouds in. And we can just use white for that. Now, they've got some wispy clouds. It's like, if you're going to do some cartoonish clouds or clouds, you got to know what clouds look like. So I'm going to do some flat clouds here. And, if we don't like the shape of the cloud, we just select that color. Now we can't really move this cloud because it's embedded in there because it's painted on the same layer as the sky. But if we wanted to, let's do this. I'm going to select it. Now I'm going to do Command-Shift-J. And what that will do is that will cut that out of there. I'm hoping. I'm trying to see my layers here. There we go. Yeah, it's got it there. Okay. Now, up under here, what we can do is we'll just paint this all blue, this teal blue again. Now, I got that cloud turned off. And then we'll turn that cloud back on. There we go. So obviously, you know, it's weird that it's showing it that way. It should be white. But this allows me to move my cloud. So I can move it somewhere. And I'm just, or resize it. Maybe we'll make it a little smaller here. And I'm just playing around with where it would be placed at. Maybe right there. Okay. And now on this layer will be clouds. And there we go. Now, let me just use my eraser key. I say eraser key, the E key. I like to, for some reason, instead of flipping my pen around, I'm always just hitting the E key for eraser. And maybe we'll just select this one with that. It's interesting. Okay, we're going to bring it over. B. There we go. Maybe this is more up here. Okay, we'll do another cloud over here. Now the other thing too is, since we're on another layer here, you know, we could always lasso and fill that in there. You know, maybe there's a big cloud there. Yeah, I'm not happy with this cloud here. I think I'm doing this. All right, there we go. I like that better. This cloud, I want to kind of maybe go here. Do that. Yeah. Okay. Okay, that's not bad, but the other thing too is we can shade our clouds. And we can always make changes to this later too. But anyway, let me get this and we'll pick off this color here. We'll lower it down to 20%. So I like the pixels there. And so see I can, whoops. All right, I'm just seeing, do I want that a little bit darker? I already sampled that, okay. Sample that again. All right, I like that. Okay, so we'll use that 100%. Now we'll actually work on the sky here. Okay, so we'll work on the sky, and let's get down here back to the sky layer. And I'm just going to use white. I'm going to go to D and X, so that will bring that background color up. D was command the command shortcut for doing the default fill and stroke. Okay, and X. So D does that, and then X actually makes the white come forward. All right, so what I'm going to do is we'll just lower our opacity down at maybe 20%. And just do some striations here so that this doesn't have to be perfect, okay? There we go. I like that. Look, that's much nicer. We might even pick another color here. Let's see about another sky color. And I don't know about that, but we'll see here. Yeah. Okay, maybe try that. That's too dark. Down to 20%. Down to 10%. Okay, I like that color. Okay, we'll do that. Sample it. Do 100. All right, and we'll do it at 40%. There we go. So see, I don't have to go to a soft brush. And so this will be my color study. Okay, let me flip this. Just take a peek at looking at it, and it's not bad. Okay, so that's how we would do a quick color study. And I'm going to end this video and upload it, and then I'm going to do a video about refining this. Okay.